Welcome to the Cincy PostCast. I'm your host, Kevin Wallace, and before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about our sponsors over at Streetside Brewery, one of the best Cincinnati breweries you will find over there on the east side of Cincinnati. An amazing tap room that I can go on and on about, but let me tell you about their beers. Some of the best, widest selection of beers you will find out of any brewery here in town. They have such a variety that there's always something new on tap when I go in there. It is a blast exploring all of the flavors, and honestly, I have yet to have a bad beer from them. Give them a shot if you haven't yet already. And don't forget, if you mention the post when you are buying your beer, they will knock $1 off of your beer each time. Give them a chance. Also, while you're there, check out some events. There's always some cool events going on. They got the summer market on the 20th. You got Jonathan Cody White from 3 to 6 playing live music there. Sunday, Formula One watch party. You got live music from 3 to 6 with Monty Likens. And then Sunday night, it's karaoke with Pascal Karaoke. That's July 21st. Always a ton of really cool stuff happening over at Streetside. That is 4003 Eastern Avenue. If you need to look them up, or you can buy their beer the next time you're at the grocery store or wherever you're picking up some brews. It is a great place, good people. Hugely, hugely thankful to them for sponsoring this episode and so many other episodes of the PostCast. And on today's episode, well, we're just going to breeze right on past that Chcago Fire match, huh? Yeah, let's not spend a whole lot of time on that one. We do talk about it. Is the sky falling? I don't know. We'll touch on that, but maybe the thing that most people want to talk about is what we talk about in part 2, which is the transfer window. Help is on the way, but how much help? And where is this help coming from? And what position do they play? We talk about all the different variations and permutations that may take. And then in part 3, it's New York Red Bulls this weekend. Why not? Let's see how many more cards we can get in one game, huh? Huh? All right, you put that all together, you got yourselves a very fun postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and hopefully not more because it is late, I am joined by the Chief. I'm joined by Grayson. We all just finished watching one of the sloppiest, weirdest, strangest matches that I can remember for FC Cincinnati.
I'll go ahead and say it. Worst. This is one of the worst games that have been played in the Pat Noonan era. Like, this is up there with the Austin debacle in year one. This is and was bad. Like, there's no sugarcoating it. This was bad.
I think you just feel bad.
No, I don't. I mean, I do feel bad, but no, it's more than just me feeling bad.
It's not one of the worst games. This is not as bad as that Austin game, which was game 1. It's not as bad as the St. Louis game. It's not as bad as the game in Columbus last year. I don't think it was as bad as the game last weekend.
This was no, I disagree with that. I disagree. Go ahead. Sorry.
This was it. So they had 63% possession. Per Mob, they had the momentum most of the game, regardless of game state. They barely lost the expected goals, and I guarantee you that the big difference there is Chicago's shot had to have had a crazy expected goal.
Yeah.
And they had 19 shots versus 16. They had several times where Brady had to make kind of a crazy save to keep the ball out of the net. I mean, if you want to think about it, this is a team that's missing 2 Max Tam center backs. Its other, let's say, number 4 center back, missing DP striker, basically, missing the league MVP, the 10.
I don't care about that. I don't care about, like, every team has injuries. Every team has rotation.
You have to.
And this Chicago team.
Double the number of accurate passes.
The Chicago team's terrible. They're 12th on the table. They're way
actually
underwater.
Double the accurate passes?
533 to 278. I'm being a little dramatic, but it's pretty close.
Yeah. So this is the game that they could have easily come out of something with. The goal Chicago scored was a terrible defensive error. Those do happen, especially when you're relying so heavily on your fifth center back in a salary capped league. It's hard to. I guess it's hard for me to look at this game and say it was really one of the worst games that they've played, taking everything into account, including the play on the field, which, again, they could have won that game.
They didn't.
Certainly could have. Yeah, but they've been in games where they could not have won under any circumstances. Those are worse games by definition.
Here's where I'll push back on that. All right, number one, I hate they're missing. Every team is missing players. This Chicago team's missing Shaqiri. He didn't play in this game either.
Yeah, he sucks for them.
Right, but he's a DP too. They didn't have their DP on the field as well. This Chicago team is terrible. They're 12th on the table. They're going nowhere fast. They've been terrible for quite some time. And beyond just the fact that this team looked...
Oh, another worse game, the loss to New England.
I was going to say the New England game sticks out to me as one of the worst.
I haven't seen this team... Whatever else you want to say about the performance metrics of this team, passes, XG, it is what it is. This team at no point looked like it was going to score a goal tonight. It just didn't. It had that vibe of nothing is going to go in the net tonight. Just flat out. It just had the vibe of it. Beyond all that, though, this team lost its composure down the stretch, like flat out lost its composure. It, for some reason, decided that the officiating was so poor, which it was poor, but the official wasn't blocking goals. The official wasn't missing shots. The official wasn't, completely standing in the box, incapable of making a decision with the ball at your feet and then falling over looking for a PK from a standstill position. The official wasn't doing that, but this team melted down over the officiating. Powell commits a violent foul that could have been a red card on its own, gets away with a yellow, and then earns himself and talks himself into a red that completely takes him out of this game. So 2 matches in a row, this team has lost a key player or has lost a player to a red card on the field. And then Pat Noonan melts down at the official and picks up a red on his own. This is the kind of a performance that you expect out of a team that is buried in the table, frustrated and going nowhere. This is not the type of performance from a team that walked into tonight leading the Supporters' Shield race. Just, I can't understand how you blow your composure so much in a home match against a bottom table team like this. Like, it's one thing to lose. They looked, I don't want to, I'm trying to not use hyperbole on this, but they did not look like a well-coached, well-disciplined team down the stretch. And that's shocking to me from a Pat Noonan coached team. They don't look like this usually. And it's shocking to me to see them do this.
Yeah, I mean, that was that aspect of it was discouraging. Because, Herbers, should have been out of the game.
Yeah.
And
early.
Chicago knew he should have been out of the game,
Yep.
which is why they subbed him at halftime. Because they probably suspected that the ref knew that he should have been out of the game. The ref did not, he let the game get out of control. This is a very common situation in Major League Soccer. Refs let the game get out of control. One of the teams is the big instigator, and they get away with a whole lot. The game gets out of control, and you overcorrect, and oftentimes the team that was the instigator and started the game out of control is not who bears the brunt of the ref's punishment. That doesn't excuse what Alvis Powell did. And it's another example where the ref was really out of his depth there because, Chicago had the wherewithal. I mean, one, they rushed him, right? They all rushed Alvis, and he got the red card not from Take. He got it from sticking his hand out close to the guy's face and shoving him away as he was getting away. Yeah. And, Kellen Acosta was instigating him all the way down the field. The announcer on Apple TV, Devin Kerr, even pointed that out. And he pointed out that he thought the ref really made a mess of that entire situation because he allowed Chcago to instigate and aggravate that situation with impunity. But Alvis still needs to know that you can't stick your arm out like that. Like, I don't think he intended to get anybody in the face, but it was reckless. You put your arm out like that, it lands where it lands, and you get what you get. And so that was really disappointing from Alvis because he's a player that needed to be available Saturday.
Like really bad.
Really bad. He needs to be available Saturday. And it's inexcusable. Just as inexcusable as it was for Miles to get the dog so red last weekend, because he needs to be thinking game situation, right?
Yep.
I would much rather have had Miles. I would have made the trade-off to give up an extra goal against Charlotte and have Miles available.
Yeah.
Than what happened. And you have to be smarter. And that's unfortunate that it's two situations, 2 games in a row where guys were not smarter.
And these are veteran guys. These are guys that have been around this league where you have to understand game situation, and you have to understand just how badly the depth is gone at this position group. You have to understand that you cannot make yourself unavailable as a healthy scratch for any reason. And now 2 weeks in a row through stupid play, just flat out stupid play. Now it's, Miles unavailable for this game. And instead we have to watch Kip Keller give the best assist of the match that cost the team the goal. That's where Miles should be playing right there. That's Miles' position right there. Miles is unavailable because he made himself unavailable with a stupid foul. And now we're going to go into a much tougher game than tonight was on the road without one of the veterans who you would expect to be part of the back line or whatever the group is on short rest with Alvis because of this. And just you add in that Noonan lost his cool with the official. I'm sorry, there's no excuse for any of this. The official, bad officiating is part of MLS. And I'm sick of this. I'm not going to glaze officiating. It was bad tonight. But you know what? It's bad every night. It's bad most nights. And the people that blame this, I'm sorry, it's part of playing in this league is bad officiating. And you either adapt and deal with it or you just die mad. And too many people on this team and in this fan base want to die mad versus adapting and moving on.
Right. I mean, it's not to let the official off the hook, right?
No, it's not.
It's just you have to. It's just it sucks, right? But in the moment, you're powerless. Like you can't do anything about it. No matter what you say on the field in the game, you can't change anything about what happened out there.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you just make it worse. And with Noonan, what? I think it's really. Maybe you guys disagree. I think it's a bad look.
Yes.
That they didn't make him available for media after the game. I think he needs to
go out there and apologize. He needs to go out there and
get out there and say what he needs to go out there and provide an explanation
and be a professional
for what happened
and go out there and address what happened. And I don't care. I don't need an apology. Okay, so let me clarify. I don't need an apology from Pat Noonan, but I need an explanation from Pat Noonan. I need an explanation for what he thought was so bad about this that it was worth getting kicked out and making himself unavailable for a road game against a team that you are. If this keeps up, this is a team that you're going to be fighting for position in the Eastern Conference at some point down the road. And you've made yourself unavailable for this game.
And if he was going to say something about, I mean, he's already missing the next game. If he was going to say something about the officiating that would risk suspension, now's the time. It's already established that that if you get suspended for any more games, it's Leagues Cup.
Yep.
Because Chicho Arango had that harassment thing, and you got a 4-game, and 2 of his games are the All-Star game and the first game of Leagues Cup. So, like, if Noonan gets suspended for the 2 group games in Leagues Cup, who cares?
Right. I guess I have.
That's why I was like kind of hoping he would put hands on the ref. I'm like, what are they gonna do? At this point, you already got to go.
The Chicho Arango thing is one of the most insane things I've ever seen. I guess I have a different take in that, just like, and maybe this is just because I live in Cincinnati and David Bell also manages here. I love it when a manager gets a red card. I love it when a bench gets a yellow card. I think it fires up the crowd. I think it fires up the team, that they're fighting for them, that they see that Noonan recognizes what's happening out there and sympathizes with the situation that these players are dealing with. And it gets me hype. And I understand in the broad scheme of things, it's probably not great. But I also know Dom Kinnear did have to step in and manage this team against New York Red Bulls last year.
You're going to do it again.
And we won that game. So it was fine.
And we were shorthanded that game.
Does he just not want to manage in New York? Is that what it is?
Well, great friend of the pod, Andrew Prenovic, pointed this one out. Pat Noonan not managing against New York Red Bulls, should they lose, would not be 3 losses in a row for Pat Noonan. He will maintain his only 2 losses in a row streak, at least until after that, should New York Red Bull be a loss, which not looking great. That's part 3, but not looking great.
So it'll be an interesting test of the players' composure because you have Red Bull coming up, which is a game that can always get out of control from minute 1. And then after that, isn't the next game Querétaro?
Yeah.
Known for stabbing people.
Stabby. Just their fans, not their players.
Well, let's see how heated that game gets.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just notoriously calm league.
I like. All right, so the baseball thing is interesting because I do like when a manager gets tossed in a baseball game. It's different.
But he already got his yellow card.
What?
Noonan already got his yellow card.
Yeah, you don't need to get tossed. Like, you got your yellow card.
You throw a fit for the yellow card.
Yeah. And also, it's like, I can't go back to this, though. It's like, the ref ain't the one missing shots, and the ref ain't the one, generally being unable to complete the final pass that scores the goal. Like that.
Yeah.
He's not playing defense. He's not the 12th man on the field. Well, you can think he's the 12th man on the field for Chicago. He ain't in the box defending, and he ain't the one that's responsible for your attack looking toothless. Like that's why I think it's kind of a Bush League thing when you get tossed in this situation is, score a goal. Like, it's one thing if the ref is awarding PKs and doing stuff where it's like, I can't compete with this, but we gave them the only goal in this game, gifted it to them on a silver platter, and we didn't do shit on offense. At a certain point, it's on you. Like, the bad refereeing is part of the equation in this league. It's on you if you can't score goals. And they didn't score any goals in this game.
For sure. The specific incident that got him the red card was Halsey completely taken out with his leg up in the air. It was an incredibly dangerous play that I don't even think was even called a foul, let alone a card. And agree with what you're saying, Chief, but that's Noonan signaling to not just Halsey, but the team that he's got their back, that they're not just going to stand by and let that happen. It also is, frankly, an overreaction from the officiating crew, because if you've ever sat near those benches or watched a game before, the benches are laying into the refs the entire game. So I would be curious to know if we get something, if there's a particular word or phrasing that was taken offense, or if something different was happening here, because that's weird. Also, generally, you give it to like an assistant coach as sort of the assumed fall guy, unless the manager is actually running out onto the field or grabbing somebody. So yeah, I would also just question the handling of Noonan specifically. But I also agree. I think it was weak to not have him do the press conference. I think that's a bummer.
Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, I mean, isn't the whole point of public relations and doing the media stuff to like get seen? Like Pat Noonan going on an epic rant against MLS referees will get some clicks, baby. Come on, let's go. I don't know.
In baseball and football, and in bigger soccer leagues, you have to go out there and kind of, explain yourself.
Yeah.
In a way that, like, there's still nothing, like, there's still shockingly little about, like, the Miazga thing, right? Like, he's
right.
Nobody has spoken to the media about, like, what specifically happened.
What is it with referees and silencing any ability to talk about it? Like, they're not that scary. These are like weird marathon runners. Come on.
And last I saw, there's no details about the Chicho, about what harassment policy Arango violated.
Anti-harassment. Is he stalking employees? Like, what is harassment?
He's on the Bruce Arena plan.
No one knows.
We'll find out when somebody writes a tell-all book in 15 years.
Yeah.
Just casually taking an MVP candidate, legitimate MVP candidate, just out of the league for a month. No big deal.
What do you make of the fact that this team just looks utterly lost without Lucho Acosta on the field? Like, we've said this for now 3 years running. They have no backup for Lucho Acosta. They have no backup for Lucho Acosta. Like, they've tried any number of different things. Tonight it was a combination of Corey Baird and like Luca Orishano or Dotto was up there for some stretches. And Chicago was able to just compactly defend with like no fear that someone was going to make a line-breaking pass or do something creative. I don't know. You wanted, I think for me at least, I wanted Dotto to be that person that could do something when Lucho's on the field. And the offense is utterly ineffective without Lucho. And I don't know what you do, because on one hand, it's like, yeah, he's the league MVP. And I was walking back to my car, because I think I'm the only person that actually went to the game tonight of the three of us.
That sounds right.
Sounds right. You would be in a position to know, having...
Well, I can't speak for Grayson, but I know I wasn't there.
Yeah. But
also, Grayson... never mind.
I was walking back to my car talking with somebody, and it was like, Lucho Acosta is the quarterback of this team. He's the Joe Burrow. He's the Tom Brady. And one of the conceits in the NFL is that if your starting quarterback is out, you just don't have a shot to win in most cases. You're praying for some sort of a fluke or some sort of an upset that allows you to win with your backup quarterback for a game. I get that that's who Lucho is for this team, and they're in a very interesting position that I don't know that many teams in MLS are in, where they are so positionally dependent on one specific person who is the league MVP. But man, it's tough to see how this team wins the big one if there's nobody else that can do that when he's hurt or he's having an off night. They've got to find something that works when he's not on the field.
Yeah.
It is. I think that it's pretty clear that no team in the league is as dependent on one player as we are on Lucho. I mean, look at Miami's form with Messi out. I've not watched Salt Lake, and they haven't played yet tonight. So like, I know Arango's got a lot of numbers. I don't know if they've had to play without him this year. So that may be another team. But the thing is, like, every team that we play against, for the most part, doesn't have Lucho. and
they still
can
beat us
score
occasionally.
goals.
It's a pretty good counter argument here.
Like, Charlotte didn't have Lucho. They didn't have a MVP level 10 on the field.
Naturally, some of this conversation is going to bleed into the next segment.
Right.
But like the idea is, to me, is I'm now curious. Well, I'll save this thought for the next segment. I don't know that there's much else that I want to talk about this game, just because it was boring. They didn't look threatening for the majority of the game. They had a couple of chances. Like, I guess we can talk about Sergio Santos.
Almost scored.
Bupenza had a really good look.
Sure did. But you know what he did? He did what Aaron Bupenza does best, and that's not score goals for this team in 2024.
In fairness, it took a pretty good goalkeeping effort to keep him out. Yeah. I'll prefer that than skying it or doing whatever the hell an impression of a striker Sergio Santos is doing. I don't understand. I hope the culture we're getting is good, because the play is not.
I mean, Santos did the thing that he does. He got into the position to get a good look and didn't convert it.
He is literally like,
he's reliable in that regard.
There's like radar charts you see on FOTMob or Stats Bomb and things. He's got 100% on every striker attribute you need, except for shooting. Shooting might be at 8%. Like, I don't know what it is. Chief, though, I do want to say on your Lucho point, and again, this will bleed in a little bit to part two, but I think this is my idea. I think the quarterback analogy is good, and I think this is what happens. This is like if and when Joe Burrow gets hurt and the Bengals go, oh, that's it. We're running the Wildcat for the rest of the year. It's like, whoa. The rest of the team is set up around like a good quarterback. And we understand Joe Burrow isn't also the backup, but like we can put somebody in to do an impression of Joe Burrow. And I think what the team needs to do is have Lucho award the armband on games he will not be able to play. Substitutions will be different. But on a game he can't play like this, he needs to pick somebody that is the alpha dog of this team for this night. If that's Assad, that's Assad. Lucho picked him. If that's Dado, that's Dado. He picked him. You defer to this guy. You let him try to do everything he wants to and needs to. If that's Luka, that's Luka. But you have that guy be the focal point. And yes, he's not going to be good as Lucho. Nobody is. That's kind of the whole reason why he won the MVP. But the team is sort of designed to let one guy try to do everything at the top of the box, and we don't try to do that again. And I think that hurts the team. You also, and this is exactly part two, so I'm happy to move on after this, but we have an A+ attacking player in Lucho Acosta. We have what looks like maybe an A to an A- player in Luka. And then everybody else is a C-. Like there's a pretty big fall off from where these guys are. We don't have a B+ attacker. If you want to make the argument for Kubo, I'll hear it. But there's a big gap between the high-end talent and everybody else. And we don't have a lot of high-end talent.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. I just think that, like, I think there's a lot of really good talent on this team. I don't think that when Acosta is off the field, there's any confidence on this team. And especially, like, there's a specific type of confidence. Like Luca Orishano, when Lucho's off the field, he made some good runs in this game. He made some good attacking runs. He made some good dribbly boy runs. He tried a couple of shots. Some of them were not great. I think he had at least one or two where I was like, okay, he's trying to do his thing. But without that person in the middle that's willing to try audacious things or who sees the game at such a high level that he passes people open and he manipulates people with his eyes and with his movement and with his passing to create space for other people, Without that, it's a lot of people waiting for someone else to do something amazing. And they're all good players, but without that trigger man in the middle, they're all just sort of waiting for someone else to do the thing. And I think that without that, I think that there's a lot of players that Lucho makes them A players. Without Lucho on the field and without that person to facilitate, none of them can unlock their talents is what we're seeing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. We done
Tough
talking
loss.
about this game?
Tough loss.
That sucks.
You can't lose to the 12th team in the table. I don't care how many people you're down. You can't lose at home. 2 losses in a row at home.
Oof.
It's
been a long time since that's happened.
Yeah. I'm done talking about it though.
Grayson, anything else on this one?
Nah.
Perfect. Okay, let's move over to part 2. Part 2, we're going to talk transfer window. We're going to talk what we want, what we need. And then part 3, my God, they don't stop coming. There is another game, which we will touch on. So let's head on over to part 2. Before we get to the next part of the episode, I do want to tell you about our sponsor, Cincy Shirts, which is now the home of official Cincy PostCast merch. This is so exciting, and we really never thought we'd see the day, and yet here we are, alive and actually seeing the day. Cincy Shirts has been with FC Cincinnati from the beginning. They've been with the Post for ever now, from the beginning, our very first sponsor. So happy to have them along for this journey. There are 6, count them, 6 different shirts available at this time of recording that you can purchase from their website for real life. This is, again, a real thing that you can do. As I'm sure you know, but I will remind you, they have 3 retail locations, including Fort Mitchell, Loveland, and Oakley Hyde Park, where in those locations, they can print on demand. If they don't have the size of something you want, you can print on demand. I assume this means PostCast shirts as well. Give it a shot. Let me know how that goes. If, for some reason, you do not want to purchase one of our shirts, I won't hold it against you. You can use promo code ThePostCincy. That's all one word, all caps, ThePostCincy for 10% off your next order. This also works with PostCast shirts, so please don't pay full price. Make sure you knock 10% off for yourself on that one. Spread the code far and wide, I guess, and let them know about Cincy shirts and let them know about the podcast while you're at it. Otherwise, the code doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But again, a huge thank you to Cincy Shirts for sponsoring this episode and so many before it. And if I do see you out there with a t-shirt, I will be embarrassed for you, but I will probably give you a high five and tell you well done. So again, thank you to Cincy Shirts. Thank you to you for buying shirts and using that promo code. Okay, we are back and we've got the Chicago game in the rear view mirror. Let's look ahead. At the time of release of this episode, if you are hearing this reasonably after coming out, the MLS transfer window is open. And we've already got a name out there. Chiduzi Awazim, center back extraordinaire from Nigeria. I can say from the last time we talked about this just a couple of days ago, this was a rumored signing, heading into a more concrete levels. I think now, Chief, we're hearing that this one is pretty well done and dusted. We should expect him in pretty soon. Yeah,
we've heard.
That's good.
I think we're hearing it's close to done. I don't think it's across the finish line yet.
Right.
The other thing that I think we can say at this point is that the expectation is that this is going to be a purchase and not a loan.
Ooh.
I know that we had sort of thought about one way or the other how they would work on bringing this player in. It's going to be a purchase, is my understanding. I don't know how the dollars are going to work out on this, but to some level, they're going to be using the money that would have gone to Matt Miazga to make this signing happen. That does, again, make things interesting for next year because they are committing an awful lot of money to next year. So I don't know how this changes or if it changes the plan for Miles, because now we're adding another max TAM center back, or I don't want to say max TAM. I don't know where he's at, but like it's definitely going to be, they're paying a transfer fee for this player that's going to be not nothing, and you're going to add that to a salary. So it's going to be something over max budget charge would be my guess.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money tied up in the back line under contract for 2025 right now. So
you do potentially, depending on how the rules shake out, you have the looming Barreal sale that will provide an injection of GAM that will help keep some of these salaries down, which there were some reports out this week that it's looking likely that he will have his purchase option triggered.
That was funny.
Yeah.
It was funny because they were like, oh, this team is interested in triggering his option. Yeah, we'll just trigger the option.
There's no interest.
I don't think they. What's interesting is I don't think they
consider.
I don't think they can, is what the issue is. Because I think FC Cincinnati, as my recollection is they have the ability to take a better offer if one comes around during the period of the loan. I think that they have the ability to sell to someone else.
So the situation may very well be that they have triggered it, right? But they have what now it just becomes like a right of first refusal on any other bids that come in up until some point in the winter window, right? That he's their guy unless, Como
is the loan is the loan through the end of the I think it was, but I thought it was like we only had the option to sell him for more if a new offer came by the summer.
Could be. You know who's not going to be given a better offer is Lens, because apparently they're going bankrupt over in Ligue 1.
Yeah, they need a TV deal real bad, or that whole league is in a lot of trouble.
Maybe Pro-Rel will fix that.
They should think about implementing Pro-Rel. That way they could have like a lot of smaller clubs that would work their way up with large investment. That's a good idea, Chief.
Yeah, they should look into that. I'm told that would fix everything.
Yeah. Okay, so we're assuming we're signing a veteran center back at or above a salary of...
Which, can he be here by Saturday? Because they're kind of deep in it on Saturday with Miles out for the Olympics and Powell... is Miles staying through Red Bull, or is he missing Red Bull? Is he gone?
He's missing Red Bull.
He was already missing Red Bull.
Okay, so Miles is out on the Olympics. Powell's out on red card suspension. You may be looking at an FCC2 call up again for this match on a short-term contract.
Yeah, we may see Nico Benalcazar again. You may see a London Agadu appearance.
No, you won't.
You won't? Okay.
I think Paul Walters starts ahead of him. I don't understand.
Ben Alcazar at least knows his way around New York.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe there's something to that.
He's got that rivalry experience.
Right.
Yeah.
But does he know his way around Harrison, New Jersey is the real question.
Does he know way around New York Red Bull Arena's tunnel system? You don't want to end up in the wrong locker room, for instance. That would be embarrassing.
Do you guys think there's any chance they try to bring in two center backs?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, here's the other problem too.
Like, you bring in Awazim, in a as a TAM deal, because the thing is, right? Like, Miles is an option next year. Maybe he goes to Europe or somewhere or whatever. So you need a Miles replacement potentially anyway. Depending on the numbers, maybe you can roll all three of them out. But again, as Chief said, it's a lot of money to have in your back line. But maybe you do Awazim and then you do, just like a Nick Hagland type player, he's not going to come out like Nick Hagland's money, but you get another depth CB through some interleague trade.
Yeah.
Because they did put Hagland on season-ending injury, which did free up a senior roster spot.
Yeah,
they've got the senior.
So
they've got the
they clearly wanted the open senior roster spot.
They've got the senior roster spot. I don't know. There's so much in flux right now. Like Doyle wrote a piece on MLS.com that I thought was. I like Matt Doyle. I think he's an entertaining writer. I haven't seen a piece that he's done yet like this one where he makes so many errors in such a short amount of time in terms of not knowing MLS's rule structure, where he suggests front loading a contract for a DP center back that you can then buy down next year, which is just flat impossible. You can't front load a contract in MLS, and the salary, the computations don't work. And then also says we have an open U22 spot, which we absolutely do not, unless they have passed the rule changes in secret and not told anybody about it. But then,
which, by the way,
but then there's talk online now that the union is pushing back against some of these things that we were told was going to happen. The second contract buyout. So it's clear they haven't passed these rule changes yet because they're still dealing with the. Oh, they have.
They have. After the Atlanta United game, Garth Lagerwey went on local radio. And while you guys were talking at the beginning of this segment, I was listening to his appearance.
That's what you were doing. Okay.
Look at that. Doing some in-podcast research to make me sound stupid. I love it.
Because, that's why. I was like, this is going to come in handy at some point, this segment. But apparently they sent a memo out today with the roster rules that are going to be effective tomorrow.
Wow.
With the roster changes that is per Garth Lagerwey on like some Atlanta radio show.
Deep fakes.
So and he said he was not at liberty to share on the show what they are. We do know from Paul Tenorio's reporting that the union pushed back on having the second buyout, and so that will not be in the package.
Okay,
but there's things in there that could be helpful, like if they're raising the salary cap or giving teams more allocation money. Maybe it's not so much money on your back line next year if you roll out Miazga, Robinson, and Awazim.
Yeah,
like it's in. So we are going to get the new rules tomorrow. Potentially, that's going to free up 2 U22 spots for us, at least, depending on what's done with Aaron Bupenza, who we can also talk about.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So just a quick refresher, the highlights of that rule package were 2 additional U22 spots for teams, and then teams would have the option of taking 3 DPs and or 2 full DPs, extra U22 spots, and a whole bunch of GAM. I think it was like $2 million in GAM. It
would be 3 DPs and 3 U22s.
Yeah.
And this is what was previewed. This is not necessarily what's going to be unveiled.
Right. They could have negotiated one way or the other.
But it was going to be 3 DPs and 3 U22s, or 2 DPs, 4 U22s, and an extra, I think, $2 million in GAM.
This is a lot.
Which is an intriguing choice for sure. I still think I probably lean toward that third full senior DP.
Yeah.
But depending on the state of your roster, like if you got a lot of homegrowns or something, like you could see how teams could take advantage of that. And then the other portion was instead of having a limit of $1.2 million in GAM that's convertible from a transfer fee, you would have a total annual maximum of $3 million, which could all come from one sale, or it could come from, a combination of sales.
Yeah. Which again could play into it depending on the timing of a Boreal sale. Because I think that purchase option was somewhere around $4 million.
Yeah. And I did check the reporting on that. I think that FC Cincinnati would technically have until, December 30th, the end of the loan.
Okay.
To find somebody to pay more money. I kind of doubt that happens.
I think they take anything close to that $4 million at this point, would be my guess. But that could mean $3 million extra GAM coming in. If you sell Bupenza and don't replace him with a DP, but like a really good striker, for instance, that's all of a sudden like $5 million in GAM and an extra U22 spot that, like, I don't know. You could put together a pretty good roster with that. You've literally doubled your salary cap, for example, with that. So yeah, there's some fun wiggle room there.
That's
so
interesting.
Another center back feels likely, though, let's say at the Nick Haglund, or dare I say a Corey Baird level.
Or the U22 level. Like,
or
you could,
U22, yeah.
You could go out there and you could, depending on ownership's willingness, you could go out there and you could bid over the top to get someone young from South America, or get someone on loan that's a under 22, that's a developmental project. Like, that's also an option available for the center back. And I know Grayson and I were talking about this earlier. I intuitively like the idea of a younger center back a lot more than a younger midfielder, just in terms of what I think is possibly more likely to offer an instant impact for this team. Just midfield feels like it's midfield feels like a graveyard for 22-year-old players.
Yeah, because you could get somebody who's big and fast, right? And even if their skills are underdeveloped, they would be an asset to the back line.
Yeah.
And like that, you can get that at 20, 21, 22.
Yeah, I mean, we cloned Boreal. Surely we can clone Mascara. So that's
And I'm not saying, like, I have no expectation that this player would be as good as Mascara, but
I have no expectation.
It's possible Yerson Mascara becomes the best player that that has played for FC Cincinnati.
It is possible, yeah. Because the word out of
they are
World's
hyped.
preseason camp is pretty high on him. So, like, for me, and I don't think we're gonna get this, but I think minimally, at the absolute minimum, you have to replace Aaron Bupenza with a DP attacker. And I'm open as to what flavor of attacker that is, but you have to do it. And then the other thing that you have to do is bring in, with no other names linked, get Awazim across the line and get an experienced, pretty good profile defender into the team as soon as possible. Like, to me, that's absolute bare minimum that they have to do. And then, but I would also like probably another center back, just like center back depth and midfield depth.
Yeah.
And you can do that at the U22s. You could trade Corey Baird. I don't know, like, what Corey Baird's value to the. I don't know that Corey Baird is best used as far down the depth chart, forward depth on this team, versus converting him into roster space and roster resources to sign a player who can be more valuable to this team.
Right. I agree with you on that. I just don't know what you're going to do with him. Like, I don't know. They have a one-time contract buyout. They'd be eating a lot of money with Baird because I think he's on a 3-year deal.
I wouldn't use the buyout on him. I don't think it's that dire, because he's not.
You might have to use the buyout on Bupenza, though. Like, that might.
You might, but if you are, he shouldn't be on the team tomorrow.
Right. But that's the thing, is that, like
What's going on?
They don't have a deal for him.
Clearly doesn't want to use him.
Yeah. They don't have a deal for him either. If they had it,
like
I was trying to explain this on Twitter earlier this week.
Yeah.
Like if they had a deal for Bupenza already lined up, he'd be gone because players move ahead of the window all the time. He'd be training somewhere else if they had a deal lined up. They don't have a deal for him right now. And if you're going to eat the contract anyway, I get trying to see if someone will take a nibble, because even taking $2 million or even taking $1 million on a sale for Bupenza is a win if you don't have to eat his salary for 2 years. Because they would owe him for this year and the rest of next year on that. To your point on the attacker, though, I think it is far and away the most likely outcome of this window is center back. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. Awuzie? Is that what we're saying? Awazim.
I heard him say it on a interview he gave on YouTube. He speaks great English.
Yeah. So
which is not surprising. He's Nigerian.
Yeah. So Awazim, I think that they probably get another depth piece for center back as well. Somebody that's either a fringe 2-player type talent, I would expect there. I think they're going to at least get one U22 somewhere. I don't know where that is. And I think that the most likely outcome is Bupenza is gone and they replace like for like with an attacking piece. I'm going to throw this out there, though, and it ties back into the last segment.
Please.
Does this team, I know Kevin and I talked about this on the last episode, and it's like, well, who do you replace in the midfield? Do you go and get a DP midfielder that has the ability to play 10 with the idea that you can push Acosta up to the top to get both of them on the field? Because they are so thin at attacking midfield behind Acosta. And the midfield depth is really, really thin as it is. I know that the idea of a DP is you don't want to double up resources in places, but if the DP slot is there, Obi isn't going to be a DP next year, so you would go back to having 2 DPs in the midfield. Maybe bring the midfield depth in now and just roll with Yuya Kubo and Kevin Kelsey for the rest of the year. Kevin Kelsey and Yuya Kubo have gotten you into first place in the Shield race, but it looks more and more like where this team is going to be hurt is center back and midfield in terms of depth.
If we continue with this sword formation with 2 dueling number 10s underneath the striker, yeah, you could absolutely slot in a DP playmaking midfielder next to Acosta with whoever you want up top, Kubo, Kelsey, or Ashano.
Was this what the plan was for Weston McKennie if they would have gotten him, like playing in this sword formation next to Lucho Acosta?
I don't remember if that was what we suggested. Well, if that's what we suggested on here or in the Discord, but it did seem like there were a lot of things you could have done with Weston. And one of them even being pushing Lucho, technically forward next to a striker. Now that my issue with getting a DP10 is like the person has to realize it's Lucho's team.
Yeah.
And
sure does.
And like what you're going to bring in so you're either going to pay somebody less than Lucho or you're going to pay somebody more than Lucho and what raise Lucho's pay to where the new DP is, or else Lucho's going to get all pissy.
Lucho always has to make $1 more than whoever it is we're signing.
So, and it's got to be somebody that Lucho wants to play with. It's like, I'm not living through this Bupenza thing again. I am not doing it.
But that's going to be true of anyone you sign. If you sign a striker, it's got to be someone that he wants to play with too. So that's got to be part of the calculus at this point, is that if you're building this team around
Paulo Dybala.
I've got a name for you. You need somebody who is willing
Argentinian.
I can get you close to Argentinian. Somebody who is willing to concede to the bigger name, the bigger star. Somebody's a proven competitor and proven goal scorer in this league. A team desperate to get rid of him to free up the spot. Leo Campana. Bring him in. Bring him in. Put him on this team. Miami frees up a spot. With this new rules package, they can do, go sign 8 more guys. We get Campana. He's already used to deferring to Suarez and Messi. Just tell him that that's Lucho. And we roll. He's already, Yedlin may be recruiting him right now.
Yeah, I would like him on the team. He's not a true DP.
Right.
So maybe you can still sign a DP.
Ooh, we can make Miami's salary cap magic work for us. We trade them Bupenza for Campana straight up. They can buy out Bupenza. Thank you, Miami.
All right. You sold me on this.
I think Lucho would play with a big name that he respects.
Right.
Or he would play with somebody who understands that it's Lucho's team and you have to play around him. And should Lucho be willing to just figure out as captain how to maximize the play of all the guys on the team? Sure. But is it really entertaining to watch Lucho play the way he does? Yeah, it's really fun.
I think the Lucho thing is slightly overblown in this regard. I don't think it's hard to play with Lucho Acosta. I just think that what Lucho Acosta demands of the other players on this team is full commitment. This man, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's emotional on the field. And there are many things you can say about Lucho Acosta that have been written. One thing that everyone has said about his tenure in Cincinnati is that he has bought the fuck in and that this is his team and he works at a level that he demands of everyone else. And the more that, you hear leaking out about this locker room and about the players involved, I don't wonder if the biggest sin Aaron Bupenza committed in all this was not giving as much of a shit as Lucho thinks he should have or should be.
Possibly, yeah.
And
we've heard that about other players.
Yeah. And there was word at the end of last year that Lucho had some words about players that he liked in terms of there are a lot of people that have one eye out the door and we need players who are bought in. And now, did Bupenza have one eye out the door? No, but we certainly know from a lot of what's been said about Aaron in the months after his incident is that Aaron likes being out at night, likes partying. It's fine. That's, his right to do that. But if it reached the level where Lucho decided this person isn't committed to the team, I think that that's more what you need to find out is that I don't think that Lucho needs someone to defer to him, but I think he needs people that are committed that want to win as badly as he does. So hopefully who they're targeting with this. Cause I'm like you, it's hilarious to watch him just bypass people in the buildup because he doesn't think this person's got it. But I don't want to go through it because this team's playing with one hand behind its back right now.
Yeah. So if we had to put numbers on this, are we saying that this team needs to bring in a minimum of 3 players, 4 players, 5 players?
I said a minimum of 2. But that's bare minimum, and it's got to be those specific 2: a replacement designated player and the Miazga replacement center back. But I would like to see 4. And
I think
obviously to make that happen, Bupenza has to go. Maybe somebody else has to go. And no disrespect, I know he's been hurt. But the name that you're circling is Corey Baird because he's a starter. He's a starter or first forward off the bench for a lot of teams in Major League Soccer. And that's always going to have value.
There's also Can is potential trade. I don't know the circumstances as to why he was not available. I did not see that. So I apologize if something has happened.
They said he was on the injury report.
Okay.
I don't know what they...
Well, they seem to be trusting Evan more and more. I don't know what value Can still has out there, but between Can and Baird, potentially some trade.
Didn't they just extend Can?
They did.
Yeah, but
it also just makes him more valuable as a trade asset too if he's under control for longer.
Sure.
I would be very, very surprised if players are moving out of FC Cincinnati this window. I'd be very surprised.
You think it's just player?
Player. Bopenza. Bopenza's gone in my mind.
And I know I said he needs to be gone tomorrow. I do not say like because of Leagues Cup, you do have a little bit of time, but like he's not on the team.
No.
Right now.
Right.
So you are just spending like you say like with the buyout, right? If there's nowhere to put him, you're spending the money for him not to play for the team, whether he's on the roster or not. So he might as well not be on the roster.
You've bought him out, but you've also bummed everybody out by keeping him around.
They've effectively bought him out. They're just not going to, they're just blocking themselves from replacing him.
Right.
Like the longer it stays, the more fucked up it is. Where it's like you have a player that's making a designated player that's one of the highest paid players on your team, and you're chasing a result, at home against one of the worst teams in the league, and he can't see the field for more than 5-6 minutes.
And when he does see the field, he looked good.
He was like the fourth forward they put in the game.
Yeah.
Fourth forward, fifth sub.
They put in. He was the last sub, yeah. They put it because you had Baird, Santos, Kelsey, then Bopenza. And if you want to talk about like other people, like Dotto was somebody who was a choice over him. Kubo was a choice over him that game.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they're all unjustified. Like I would pick a lot of those guys too.
I'd take Chirilla over Bopenza at this point.
See, that's the thing. If you're going to give somebody scrub 3-4 minutes at the end of the game, I'd rather be Chirilla.
But they only can do that a couple of times, and they need to save that, I think.
Just bring him, just sign him sign the homegrown deal.
Yeah, give him Nick Hagland's...
I don't think they can sign him as the homegrown until he's been in the league for the academy for a year, right?
I have it on anonymously sourced authority. I have it on anonymously sourced authority.
Oh, that's rich. Using an anonymous source here?
Wow.
I know.
What, are they going to die if they find out? All right.
I don't know. But apparently there is nothing blocking them because whatever arrangement they worked out with Philly to give them compensation, that allows them to bypass that waiting time period. And so they could sign Chirilla to a first team contract, according to my source, yesterday. Like there's nothing stopping them from doing it.
Well, add him to the Leagues Cup roster at a minimum here, because give him Nick Hagland's roster spot and let's go.
I think that there's going to be a couple of guys that we've only seen on FC2 on that Leagues Cup roster. I wouldn't be surprised to see a guy who was drafted and had trouble getting a visa on the Leagues Cup roster.
Damn.
I'm not saying anybody's names.
We dem boys. I think, Grayson, to go back to the original question, you said 2. To me, this is a heat check on ownership to a certain extent. Is that their window is open right now this year, but it's closing this year in terms of the injuries are starting to take a toll. This team was injury lucky last year. This team stayed remarkably healthy for the majority of the year and didn't have to deal with a lot of these depth issues.
Yeah.
But right now, like they got to decide if they're all in, I think, this year. And if what Grayson's saying that was reported by Garth Lagerwey, if that's true, if what Garth is saying is true, then you need to go and you need to spend big on one U22 in this window. I think you need to go and you need to, because remember, transfer fee doesn't matter on a U22. You just have to keep the max salary budget charge. Yep. The actual salary you're paying under a certain amount. I think they need to go and they need to spend over the top for a U22. Go get one where you're not buying a lottery ticket. What you're buying is a player that profiles as someone that is going to be an appreciating asset that can play right now. And that means going down probably to the Brazilian leagues or the Argentinian league, someplace, one of the better leagues in South America, and going shopping and being ready to pay top dollar for someone that has prospects in the future. Or
get
right
somebody
now,
get somebody who turned 22 earlier this year. So it's the last year that they're eligible to come into the league on this kind of deal. Because once you get them in, you can keep them on a U22 spot until they're 25. As long as you don't sign them to a new contract. So that's like, you can maximize that person. Like you could, like, that's somebody who has likely been a pro for a couple of years, right? So they have a bit of a track record.
Yeah. Get somebody who's on the cusp of, like, maybe, you know, sniffing around Europe, but needs that like extra couple of years, like to a year or two before they're ready to go to Europe, and sell them on it. Say, we're taking you, and if you play well, you're going to be out of here this time a year from now, because we need you for right now. We don't need you for next summer. We need you for right now. But I think at minimum, you need to bring in a replacement for Papenza and pay some money for it. I think you need to spend on at least one of these U22s. If you're bringing a forward, that U22's probably got to be in the midfield, I would think. Or, you know, center back. And then bring in this new center back. We've been talking about this Nigerian. That's the minimum, is 3. I would like to see them go for 4. I would like to see them do all that and also add someone to Nick Haglin's roster spot that can be a depth piece somewhere, because I know he's your boy, Kevin, but I don't think the Kip Keller experiment is bearing fruit right now.
We did learn tonight, I learned tonight, why Alvis Powell will get the start often ahead of Keller. So, hey, you know, we're all learning. Keller's learning. I'm learning about Keller. It was a fruitful night.
Keller will do some nice stuff.
Yeah.
But then he'll look like he doesn't know where he is.
Or just like forgets what team he plays for.
Yeah.
Bold.
Like, regularly forgets what team he plays for.
You know, mistimed jumps, whiff on kicks. Like he's error prone in a way that I would say Ian Murphy is not.
Yeah. Yeah. Or Ian Murphy is actively fixing as his career progresses. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's fine. Like Keller was signed to be the 5th CB.
Yeah.
5th, maybe 4th.
Right. He could compete. Sure.
And he's fine in that role. But
he also needs.
I would like a new 4th, I think.
Yeah, well, he also needs at least one of 1, 2, or 3 alongside him, and
right, yeah.
So, I understand that's Murphy, but I'm looking past that for right now. Okay, that'll do it for the transfer talk. Let's talk New York Red Bulls playing in New Jersey. That'll be part 3, and then we'll get you out of here. All right, we are back, and this is incredible because given when we started recording to now, the New York Red Bulls game literally just ended. As we're recording this, I think some thunderstorms moved in and delayed their match by quite a bit. So New York Red Bulls finished 2-2 with CF Montreal, Club de Foot de Montreal. Notable here in this game, and why I bring it up, Sean Nealis gets a red card in this one, so we will dodge Sean Nealis.
Isn't Tolkien going to the Olympics too?
He is.
There we go.
So that helps quite a bit.
I guess we should lead off too with Tolkien will be at the Olympics and won't be at this game. Miles Robinson won't be at this game.
Looks like Tolkien's already at the Olympics, but yeah.
Yeah. He won't be at this game. Alvis Powell won't be available for this game. Pat Noonan won't be available for this game. Kevin, do you want to let the people know who will be available at Red Bull Arena on Saturday night?
I'm looking at all three of them. One of Grayson, one of Chief, and myself will all be in Harrison, New Jersey, come 7:39 p.m.
That's right,
on
folks.
Saturday.
It's Away Days, Episode 2. Get hype.
Let's go.
And if you would like to sponsor Away Days, Episode 2 on YouTube, DMs remain open.
Yes, yes.
You too can be a part of the scintillating content that involves all of us staring silently at one another as we drive back or take a PATH train back after a gut-wrenching FCC loss like last year in Columbus.
I mean, with how the match ended tonight against Chicago, I mean, it is entirely possible that we see like a 5 red card game against New York. Like, I feel like that's on the table for this one. Everybody's thinking, oh, Leagues Cup doesn't matter. Let's all just go out and get what we can out of this one. I think it's gonna be messy. Yeah, we will be there. Man, I tried my best to really screw up our hotel booking. I think I sorted that, so I think we're good there. And
there's been entirely too much soccer talk on this episode. I don't think we've had any moment of non-soccer talk yet.
We haven't.
Looking forward to New York, boys.
I am.
Love the city. Love the area. Yeah, like this is the ultimate away day trip. You're going someplace where soccer is very much the secondary reason to visit the city most of the time.
That is a good selling point.
Like not even the secondary, like the 100th reason you go to New York most of the time.
It might crack a top 100 list, but probably not. Yeah,
are you mad that we didn't go through with one of our plans, and that was to do the entire episode in New Jersey and just...
Certainly would have been cheaper.
Wear tracksuits and go to a lot of diners.
I mean, we could do that Sunday. That could be fun. But yeah, I haven't been to New York in 10 years, so I'm excited.
I was there last weekend.
I can't wait to see what all has changed.
It's like, wow, it's a new place entirely. This wasn't here last week. Can't get over how different things look.
That guy was wearing a different shirt.
I will probably have less natty wine this weekend.
Hey, let's not make promises you can't keep. All right.
Yeah, Grayson introduced the PostCast to natty wine.
Oh, now I'm excited.
Hey, if you want to go to a Michelin star restaurant that's owned by James Murphy from LCD Sound System, I know of one.
Throw it on the agenda.
Let's do it. So yes, Aux 1, get ready. We're coming to your city.
Prepare yourselves.
Prepare yourselves. Prepare the way. And if anyone has ideas about what to do in New York, I don't know. I'm kind of worried we're going to come up blank and there's just going to be nothing to do when we're there.
It would be really funny to just film us like aimlessly wandering around like, what is there to do? I don't know what to do.
Kind of bored, guys. Like, what's going on tonight?
We could go to Dimes Square, see if any of them have been to a Red Bulls game.
Are you aware that there's a professional soccer team that plays in New York City?
It would be very funny to do some sort of drinking game or some sort of competition where we try to see who can identify the most number of pieces of New York Red Bull gear. It feels like a good competition.
All right, we got to figure that out. Like
Red Bulls versus Cosmos versus NYCFC. Which one's got the most merch out there?
Last time I was there's like a PSG store in downtown New York, and there's a Manchester City store as well.
I
I'll
don't
bet
think
there's
it's
not a Red
downtown,
Bull store.
Isn't it Midtown?
It's in Midtown, yeah.
Isn't it like Times Square?
Yeah, the PSG one I think is closer to Rockefeller Center, if I remember correctly. But
using my Midwestern definition of downtown, it's all downtown. It's downtown. It's downtown until you see a farm. Okay.
and this year we're bringing a camera crew with us. We'll have a camera guy this year. Not
Yes.
intern Luke. We thought about bringing intern Luke until we realized he probably can't get into most of the bars we're going to go to, and that would be really awkward just to leave him outside.
That'd be a problem. We did originally intend on having a cameraman in Columbus. It did not pan out. R.I.P. Schwei. So, yeah, it'll be nice to have a camera person. Although I will say, and we'll see what we end up doing. I will miss Grayson giving us the thumbs up review from behind the camera.
I'll still be doing that. I'm not going on camera here.
Good.
All right, hold on. How many Patreon subscribers do we have to get, or how many, what sponsorship level will we have to get for you to go on camera on this video?
Great question.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
Give the people no. You got to give the people a win scenario. Like Grayson will appear on camera in the next episode of Away Days if we get to blank Patreon subscribers. How many likes and retweets in order for this to?
Love the idea that there isn't a high enough number.
I don't know. $15,000 a month.
Balls in your court, listeners.
30,000 subscribers. That is more seats than TQL Stadium has.
Hold on. That's 7,500 subscribers.
Paying double. I halved it. Oh, 7,500 is attainable. Come on, folks.
Yeah. If
barely
every
more
one of
than
the
the
12
bail.
if every one of the 12 listeners tells 100 people, what we need everyone to do is we need you to go into your phone, and to every person in your contact list, we just need you to send a text message. Please listen to the postcast. They were talking about this on an old episode of Pardon My Take, that like a punishment for losing a bet would be that you would have to scroll through your phone at random and call whatever name comes up, and you have to keep calling until 10 people pick up and have a conversation with you.
That's good.
Doesn't matter who it is in your phone, how long it's been since you've talked to them. You got to just hit the dial button and start talking.
It's like a classic drinking game of you give everybody else somebody else's phone and they write a text message, and you have to either accept them sending that text message or take a drink. And the game just slowly devolves as people get more and more drunk, not wanting certain texts to be sent. It's a good time.
Love it. So Red Bulls. Vibe's not great right now.
That's all right. The vibes were going to be bad at this game regardless.
It's an anti-vibe matchup anyway. So actually the vibes might be in the right spot. Like we are clearly in a angry, ready for a fight sort of attitude. There's no expectations. We don't have a defense. We might see Lucho. We might not see Lucho.
You can't go into Leagues Cup on a 3-match losing streak, though. That would be bad.
You could come out of Leagues Cup on a 3-match losing streak, though. Actually, you can't. It would only be a 2-match losing streak.
They got to win. They got to get a point. They can't go 0-3 in their last 3 matches. They've got to find some way to scrape a point out of this match. Otherwise, you're talking potential for bad.
So it's not a must win, but it's a must draw. Are we declaring this a must draw?
It's a can't lose game. It's not a must win, but it's a can't lose.
I like must draw more, but okay, can't lose.
No, because I don't want them to draw. I want them to win. You just can't lose the game. There are multiple options that will make things happy.
A must draw
game. Like you own goal when you're up 2-1 because this is a must draw game. That would be get Kip Keller out there.
I'm trying to I guess for the playoff seeding, if you were really desperate to play a particular team and you knew a draw would get you them. Okay. I can't lose. Don't lose game. It's more of a pleading thing than anything else. Please don't lose. Players to watch for. Van Zier's mouth is one to watch for. Corey Burke. I don't know. There you go. There's a player to watch. Kyle Duncan. Does he play for this team? He does. He's the backup left back.
I think Forsberg has a season-ending injury, and Amaya is in Mexico.
Yes.
So will he have to spend more? Will Forsberg have to spend more time with his family?
Well, no. He's not a part of his family anymore.
Do we still chant "Fuck you, Frankie" at Red Bull Arena, even though he's not there?
Yes. I feel like, well, we can do it like, I'm sure there's still like a poster of him up somewhere. We can do it at that. They don't strike me as a team that is going to be quick to changing out the marketing materials.
No. They don't strike me as a team that has marketing materials, so I think you're grossly overestimating.
That's a good point. The team is marketing materials. So.
Quite literally. It's a brand only. Who manages this team? Dom Kinnear again? Goes for 2 wins in a row at Red Bull Arena in the regular season?
Let's go.
Probably, unless it's time for Kenny Arena to step up. He did get a yellow card, so it's kind of like doing a half step down version of what I
kind of like the idea of Dom Kinnear being the only manager that's undefeated in FC Cincinnati history. That's kind of cool.
This is like the Mohamed Sanu is 5 for 5 with the perfect passer rating for the Bengals.
Right. I don't know that I want to see Dom Kinnear put that record on the line. It's a more gooder trivia answer if he's the highest win percentage manager in team history.
What if Lucho is the manager? Because we've already accepted the fact that he is picking the team and everybody has to, listen to him anyway. And Noonan has mentioned that he can't sub him out in some games because Lucha's already calling. Why not just make him the manager so he can just call his own subs when he's out there?
I like the idea of Noonan just continuing to manage the team via, an earpiece, like Impractical Jokers or something like that.
The Mexican manager did that. I'm not going to remember his name. The funny one.
It's all right.
But yeah, he did that with a walkie-talkie down to the bench. He sat in a box.
Hey, open invitation though. If Pat Noonan can't be on the field managing, if you want to sit with the postcast, offers on the table.
Yes.
We'll hang.
I will pay for all of your drinks.
Wow.
Yeah.
All night.
Wow.
Well, hold on. All right. If Pat Noonan sits with the postcast, will you appear on camera?
Yes.
Ball's in your court, Pat.
This is entirely up to FCC now.
Carter, I know you probably aren't listening, but if you are, you have the chance to do the funniest thing ever.
Should we all apply for press box credentials?
I mean, it would be the best seat in the house. This is a place where the press box is down at field level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do have that nice press box.
I mean, the worst thing they could do is say no.
No, I'd rather sit with Pat Noonan. Get up.
Yeah, fair enough.
If we sit with Noonan, it's up in the cheap seats, top row ticket, Red Bull Arena. It's Red Bull Arena. We will have an entire section to ourselves. Just saying. We'll get Grayson on camera. It'll be good shit.
We can walk around and find the best one. All right, let's predict this game. Chief, what's going to happen in this one?
Lucho plays. 2-2?
How many red cards?
None.
Okay.
Inexplicably.
That's a safe bet. But 11 yellows.
A lot of yellows.
Grayson, what happens in this one?
We're going to lose 2-0.
Oh.
Red Bull are going to score early, and it's going to be the worst game you've ever seen after that.
Sick. How many red cards?
Somehow no, but there's going to be 14, 15 yellow cards.
Good. That's way more fun. I will say we got out a 1-0 victory, but there are 2 red cards in the game. Lucho does play. And
who gets the red cards?
I'll say someone on Red Bull, which results in a penalty or a free kick that gets us there. And on our side,
Yedlin. That's got to be Murphy. Like, it's got to be another member of like the back line. Like, we're just rotating through on the back line is out on red card suspension.
I mean, I think Yedlin will be on the back line in this one, and I still think Yedlin will get the red card. So.
Yeah, who's your back line in this game? Powell's out. Miles is gone.
I think it is Murphy, Keller, and Yedlin. I think that's the back line. With
Viacon Diaz,
Assad, and Orishana as your outside backs. That's who I thought was going to start in tonight's match. So I'll stick with it since there seem to be fewer options now. Well,
that certainly happened.
We'll try to have fun.
Oh, we'll have fun. Just up until the match kicks off, probably.
Man, I something just glanced across my screen here, and I just got mad all over again. They had 2 guys go down, and nobody had to go sit out for the 2 minutes or whatever.
Well, so there's an exception for,
of course,
goalkeepers.
There's always an exception,
and there's an exception when 2 guys go down from the same team. But that does raise when 2 guys need to be attended to. It's right in the rule. It says the off-field treatment rule or on-field treatment rule doesn't apply.
So why doesn't your goalkeeper go down every time? Why doesn't like Roman like develop the worst migraine?
Well, that's the thing, right? Brady clearly went down. He clearly faked it so that who was it? Haile Selassie wouldn't have to go off. There's got to be a recourse for that.
Yeah.
Like that's it should happen every time.
Yeah.
Like if it's actually you're actually hurting your team as the goalkeeper if you don't do that.
Yeah.
Like you have to do it every time now.
He literally, go back and watch it if anybody thinks he wasn't faking it. He grabs one side of his back and then he lays down and he decides, nope, I will grab the other side of my back.
I'm telling you, like, if I was running a soccer team, the first thing I would do is I would send all my academy kids to go train at the WWE Performance Center for 2 weeks. Like, learn how to take a bump and sell. Like, learn how to do this. And because it's apparently incredibly easy to fake these referees out.
Ugh. All right, that's enough about this game. Chief, get us out of here.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Cincy PostCast. It is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out at thepostcincy.com or just click a link in the description to check out some of our written work. It also has links to our social media accounts across all sorts of different platforms, including YouTube, where we are trying to do more and more video content. Please, dare I say it, like and subscribe and leave a comment. But no, that would be really, really helpful. Also want to give a thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers. They're a local Cincinnati band who provided all of the music for this episode. We love having them on board. You can check them out. Again, link in the description of this episode to find out where they might be playing shows next or where you can listen to more of their music. Also want to give a massive, massive thank you to the awesome and very attractive patrons over on Patreon. It is a voluntary subscription that people take out with no real promise of anything extra that keep this show afloat. And we are so, so thankful to those of you that have decided to take that commitment. If you do like the show, or at least just want to engage with other people who have listened to the show and want to talk about FC Cincinnati, MLS, soccer, or really anything else, you can go on over to Discord. Again, link in the description. Lots of links in the description where you can find a link to the Discord. That's where we are keeping the conversation going 24/7. It feels like it's a really fun group of people in there just talking about FC Cincinnati. And like I said, just about everything else. And finally, I'll say it. If you liked this episode, and given the fact that you've made it all the way to the end, I have to assume you either like it or for some reason cannot reach the stop button. Please share this episode with a friend or family member or someone who likes FC Cincinnati. The best way for us to grow is from a personal recommendation from somebody who likes it. And if that's you, please tell other people. And if you don't have any friends, feel free to give us a review on whatever your podcast platform of choice is. We'll take anything we can get. But again, a huge, huge thank you to everybody for listening to this show. I am blown away that anybody listens to this. So again, I well and truly mean this. Thank you so much for listening.